Alrighty, great evening to everybody. Today was first day of April Fool's joke. I did a little tweet on X. I guess, I don't know if you call it tweet or a post. I guess it's probably a post now. But I just had a little fun with you guys. If you guys are following me on X, I just put out a little poem, thanks to Grok, about possibly selling. I did not sell anything today. Today was actually a pretty good day for Bitcoin miners. Other things as well. So April starting out much better than what we saw in March, which is good. But now we have some updates from companies coming in for March production updates. We have Bitfarms today. We'll take a look at that. We'll also take a look at the latest short data that we have, which is coming back from March 14th is the latest data that I have at least. We'll go through that. I do have an announcement for you guys to make as well. We are going to be expanding the channel a little bit more into other categories as well, I think. The reason for that is I think HUT is going to stop providing us updates with their mining side of the business since they kind of spun that off with Bitcoin or American BTC now. So there's going to be less information that I'm gathering on the other miners. We're down to like, I think 9 miners now in total that I'm going to be covering. Maybe I'll add some in there. Like, I don't know, you guys can let me know which ones you want to add. But I think we're going to expand this out a little bit more and do a little bit more research into some of the AI space, something that I'm also interested in. We're going to look at a bunch of players there. I have like 50 companies that are publicly traded. We're going to look into each one of those to see what they do, what kind of AI do they have, basically? What are they doing with AI, right? Are they creating software? Are they doing data centers, things like that? We're going to take a look at a bunch of them, and it's going to take us a while to go through them all. I got to research a bunch of these guys as well, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on it to see where they are. So we'll get in through that, and we'll get into the Q&A. So it should be pretty fun, right? As always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button. Helps me out tremendously as always. But let's take a look at the good day that we had today in April. April 1st. Came out pretty good. So hopefully this is an April Fool's joke on us today. Bitcoin was up nicely. It was up, what was it, 3% something today? 3.19%. It was up 2,636. We closed at 85,170. So things are turning around at least. Maybe the first quarter was just a bad quarter. We needed to get it out of the way. Things to kind of reset a little bit here. We do have Trump tomorrow, obviously, with his Liberation Day conference coming up, and I think in the White House lawn or something like that. They're doing that. That's coming, I think that's at, 4 p.m. Eastern time, 3 p.m. my time, I believe it is. We'll track it, obviously, what happens there. We'll report on it tomorrow as well. But we'll see how everything reacts on Wednesday then, right? We won't really have a reaction tomorrow, but we will have a reaction on it on Wednesday. We'll see how that plays out. But right now, at least, the markets had a pretty good day today. They were up a little bit here. Bitcoin was up, and then the miners were up nicely today as well. So a nice bounce for April to start out with. So we'll take whatever we can get here, right? So Bitcoin was up nicely today. Miners were up also quite a bit here. Bitfarms was up just a little bit, 2.54% on the day. BitDeer was up 1.47%. Cypher was up 6.96%. Cleanspark, nice day today, up 12.5%. That was great to see. CORZ was up 10.5% as well. Hive was up 6.21%. Hut 8 beat out everybody here, being up 14.63%. That was based on the conference call that they had this morning about the transition from their internal or in-house Bitcoin mining and kind of pushing that off onto American BTC. That obviously came out pretty good for them there because the stock did rally on that news. So we covered it yesterday. I'm not going to get into it today. But IREN was up also nicely, 9% here. Mara was up just a little bit, surprisingly, 2.96%. Riot was up 5.9%. Wolf was up 5.49%. And I also have included some of the large hodlers of Bitcoin here, some of the companies like MicroStrategy, Galaxy, Block as well, Coin. We have Metaplanet, Exodus Movement, Nexon, Semler, the Blockchain Group, Phoenix Digital, and GameStop, right? GameStop hasn't bought anything yet, but I'm sure they're going to be buying here. So we're going to keep track of these guys as well to see how they are doing with their stack of Bitcoin and how the stocks are performing based on that. And we still have the smaller miners here as well. We're going to obviously keep an eye on these guys, see how they're doing. And they had kind of mixed reaction here today. BitQ, BKCH, DAP, and WGMI had pretty good days. WGMI finally getting a little light underneath its butt here a little bit and going up nicely today, 7%, which is nice. And then we still have CoreWeave. Oh my gosh, almost forgot. CoreWeave, I mean, look at this candle here on today. This was just crazy. It was up 41%. I was trying to figure out if there's any news on it. I didn't see any news really. CoreWeave shares soar past IPO price on third trading day. I mean, there's not much going on as far as news is concerned, but I guess the sentiment has definitely changed to the positive for AI and space in general, and maybe the second quarter is going to be much better for us going forward here. But so I'm including those. I'm including them in my new. I probably should refresh this here. So let me see. So I get the latest setup here that I have, and it's not loading for me. Why? Why is it not loading? Let's see. Pause it. There it goes. Okay. So all right. So I got a couple more sections here. We have AI section here. So this is what I told you guys about as well. We got a bunch of companies that I looked up based on their market cap. So I have it from like the highest market cap all the way down to lowest to about, I think 100 million is the lowest I'm going per market cap on these guys, just to see what are they doing. And we'll dive through these guys in the next, I would say, several weeks. I think it's going to take me a while. But if you guys are interested in that, let me know in the comments and stuff like that. I'll definitely check that out. If you're not interested into it, if there's not that much interest, maybe we'll scrap this. But this is just an idea that I have right now, just to kind of expand a little bit and find out maybe some other, gems in the rough possibly. But we'll see, right? So we got a bunch of these guys to go through. There's a bunch. There's like 50 of them in here. So eventually, through time, we will get through them. And I'm not going to, like inundate you guys with all this stuff all at once. We'll do 2 to 3, maybe a week, something like that, to start out with. And we'll try and go through them as fast as we can, possibly. Okay, so that's on the schedule there. What else are we doing there? Once we get through that, I think we'll look at other things as well. We'll look at maybe like the energy sector as well to see what the energy players are for like small modular reactors, SMRs, just regular energy for electricity players in there as well. See if there's any kind of good things to get into there. I'm sure there is, because the energy sector did actually really well, pretty well actually in Q1, the quarter that we just ended. All right, so we got that planned going forward, and continuing on here with Bitcoin. Let's take a look at where Bitcoin ended up with the network hash rate here at the end of the month here. We'll update this really quick. And on the 7-day, it's actually down a little bit here. It's down to, there we go. It's down to 831 exahash. On the 7-day, on the 30-day average, we can see that it has come back up a little bit here to 817 exahash as it is. Okay. The transaction fees for the month, I calculated those already for the Bitcoin. It averaged out to be an additional about 0.0124% increase in revenue for the miners in general on average. So that's kind of what we're going with the miners on that going forward. Bitcoin here for the month of April, like I said, started out pretty good. We're up 3.11%. And then I also heard today on CNBC that historically, when the first quarter is down like 3% in the markets overall, April is usually a pretty good month for the markets, or second quarter. April, this says April specifically is really good for the for going forward. Historically, going all the way back to like 1948. So that's going to bode well for us if this holds true. The only thing that could be a kind of caveat in here is tomorrow's Trump's Liberation Day and the tariffs, how they might throw a monkey wrench into everything. But historically, at least, April following a bad March, February, and January has been pretty good. Okay, so I'm hoping for a green month here in April for not only the markets, but also Bitcoin and the miners as well. Okay, and then Bitcoin ETFs. ETFs right now without BlackRock, they're in the red here for today. Surprisingly, Bitcoin being up 3%. We'll have to wait and see what BlackRock reports on it. Maybe that one will pull us out a little bit here into the positive side. But right now, we're down 157 million in change on that one. Okay, some macro news here. Today we had some reports coming out. This is from Bach. Breaking macro data released. Manufacturing PMI was 49 versus 49.5 estimated, so that's down. Manufacturing prices were also up to 69.4 versus 64.6. Previous was 62. And then JOLTS jobs openings was 7.57 million versus 7.66 million estimated, and the previous was 7.74. So if you're not following Bach, definitely follow Bach. He's got a lot of great macro stuff that he puts out all the time. And then here's his take on it. So soft macro data, not ideal, right? That's kind of what we're seeing here. Manufacturing PMI coming in below expectations and dropping below the 50 mark signals contraction in the sector. Again, definitely a sign of cooling growth. At the same time, manufacturing prices jumping well above estimates points to sticky inflation pressures in the sector, which is based because of the tariffs, right? Everybody's kind of freaking out about that right now. A lot of uncertainty in the markets. That's not good. People are definitely driving prices up a little bit just to possibly front run some of these tariffs here. JOLTS jobs openings also came in a bit softer, reinforcing the narrative of a gradually cooling labor market. We're going to probably get more data as time goes on, as the government cuts employees there. So this is going to be happening there. And then the 10-year yield and the dollar selling off makes sense in this context. The weak PMI and the softer job opening suggest growth is slowing, which could revive hopes for rate cuts in May. So that's actually pretty good there if that happens. As for the dollar, the weaker growth data tends to weigh on it too, especially when paired with the idea of a less hawkish Fed going forward, despite the hotter manufacturing price component. So basically, growth concerns outweigh inflation worries for now, leading to that down move in yields and the dollars we're seeing, not surprising in any way. Yeah. So a lot of uncertainty. We'll have to wait and see how we get past all this stuff here. But definitely follow Bach if you don't. He's got always posts this great stuff here. I always enjoy his take on this stuff. All right. Next, let's get into the one that we really do have here, which is Bitfarms. They provided their monthly update for March here. We do have some improvements here, which is good. Hash rate grew, but part of it is also for their hosting that they're hosting for a customer that was there with Stronghold when they acquired Stronghold. So I tried to pull out that data as best I could, going back to Stronghold's financial results, quarterly results, and annual results to see. I'm not sure how long the contract is there for the hosting, but it's not much. It's like 700 petahash right now, I think, based on the latest data that I have on that. So it's not a lot that's being used up for hosting for somebody else on it. A lot of the stuff they got added in was Stronghold stuff and possibly some new Bitfarm stuff as well, maybe. We don't have the latest data on this. They do kind of lump everything together, so it makes it a little bit more difficult. I did tweet out to Bitfarms and Ben Gagnon today to see if they could separate those two out, right? If they could put out, this is what our self-mining is and this is what our hosting is, I think that would be great. I do believe that they get like 50 or 55% profit sharing on this, and they're also splitting the electrical costs on it, I believe, as well for the hosting. But it's, like, again, it's not much. 700 petahash is barely anything there. All right, but here's a comment. So operational hash rate is now 19.5 exahash under management, right? So under management, meaning that they include Bitcoin mining for self-mining and for hosting as well on that. And fleet efficiency of 19 watts per terahash is actually pretty good. They accomplished this a month earlier than they were expecting to, I believe. So that's pretty good there. Growth was also pretty good here for the month compared to prior month. So we'll give them that for sure. This is a statement from Ben Gagnon. March was a very productive month for Bitfarms. We successfully closed both our transformative acquisition of Stronghold Digital Mining, the largest M&A deal between two public miners in our industry, and the strategic sale of our 200 megawatt Yaguza data center. Through these transactions, we have rebalanced our portfolio to the United States, where we expect to achieve greater yields per megawatt, reduce our average cost of power across our portfolio, minimize our 2025 capex requirements, and secure highly desirable sites that will enable us to diversify beyond Bitcoin mining into HPC/AI and energy generation. Okay, so all good things here. In addition, we advanced our HPC/AI strategy with both the appointments of James Bond, Senior Vice President of HPC, and Craig Hibbard, Senior Vice President of Infrastructure, and the continued evaluation of our 3 Pennsylvania sites for potential HPC conversion. Initial studies from our strategic partners confirmed that all 3 sites are well suited, so that's good to hear. They are strategically located near other data center campuses and peering hubs, and they have the necessary power, land, and fiber infrastructure to support HPC. So those are good things. Now we just need to execute on that and actually get a customer there, if they can get it. Everybody's trying to get a customer for HPC/AI, so I know it's not going to be an easy task to do. We expect to receive full detailed feasibility studies in Q2 with the steps we've taken in Q1. We now have the properties, internal team, and the strategic engineering and marketing advisors in place, taking a holistic approach to advancing our HPC/AI business. So again, hopefully they get this worked out nicely there. Hash rate grew 21%, right? We talked about that. And the total BTC earned was 280. I'm guessing maybe about 5 of those BTC were generated from the hosting side of things, maybe. It's kind of what I'm guessing here, or estimating based on the numbers that we have for what they have for self-mining and for the hosting. Month-end operating and exahash under management was 19.5. BTC average exahash was 17. Average operating exahash under management, I gotta remember that. 16.4, energy capacity, 461 megawatts, watts per terahash efficiency, 19. So those are all good things here. Going down here, financial update, total liquidity of 132 million. This includes their Bitcoin HODL there, including approximately 39 million in cash at March 31st. So not a lot of cash on hand after selling the Yaguza site. I guess they must have paid off some other things as well. But they do have a Bitcoin treasury there as well. So they have a total of 1,140 BTC. That is down from 1,260 BTC last month and represents 93.4 million based on the Bitcoin price of 82,000 on March 31st. So they still have plenty of cash, and they did use quite a bit of it here in March as it is to do whatever they needed to do, right? Pay operations, fund for further growth and things like that. So that is all part of it. And let's take a look at it here. So here's Bitfarms. Currently has about 553 million shares outstanding, market cap 437. This is as of, I didn't update the pricing here today. I think this is as of, when was it? Yesterday. So we're off by a little bit, but not by much. All right. Performance over the last 12 weeks has been horrendous, like it has been for a lot of the miners here. They're down 47% from 12 weeks ago, and then just last week they were down 16%. Okay. Current hash rate about 18.7. This is just, I'm guesstimating what their self-mining hash rate is. And then future hash rate based on what they have on order, I'm guessing they're going to be like at maybe 21 exahash here, which kind of makes sense with what they said. I know they're getting to 18 exahash. Well, they actually beat that. And they're possibly getting to a little bit higher than that later on this year. We'll have to wait and see. HODL 1,140 is valued at about 96. This is based on price of Bitcoin from yesterday, I believe it is. BTC mined here, nice improvement here to 280. Like I said, maybe 5 of those are from hosting on it. So it's a nice increase there. That's pretty close to their second best here. From last March, they were at 286. So they're coming back up to around that level, which is good. Revenue is the best that they've had here, 23.82 million. Based on that, BTC HODL, like I said, they sold, why am I showing that they sold 400 here for some reason? That doesn't seem to add up. Well, they had 280 plus they had, yeah, so that kind of makes sense. So they sold about 400 Bitcoin here in March. And then hash rate, 18.7, like I said, nice increase. It has been improving here much better over the last couple months, I would say. So that's great to see. BTC per exahash efficiency also improved here to 14.9 from 13.2, where we saw a steady decline here over the last several months, 6 months or so, but finally getting that back up. So that's good to see. And BTC sold value about 34 million based on the average price of Bitcoin for March there. All right, we'll get into some of these numbers here in a second. Institutions did update this. This came in at 225, same number, but the shares improved to 133.9 million. Slight improvement there. Percentage also went up to 28.64. We still have the 6 strong buy ratings, 2 buy ratings, 0 holds, 0 underperforms, 0 sells. High target actually went down on the price to 450, $1.50 less. The average went down to 332, and the low went down to 2. We're seeing that at some of the miners as well, other miners as well. I think it's just because the retracement that we've had here with Bitcoin and the miners themselves. I think things are starting to get a little bit revalued here on it. Going down here, so here's what I did with the addition of what Stronghold brought in. So here's Stronghold. Stronghold had, last reported I could find, they had about 25,000 of these 100 terahash miners here, about 2.5 exahash. That got added in. The hosting as well, based on what I could find on the reporting on that with the customer there. They had about 4,000, possibly by now, of these 135 terahash miners, and 2,000 of these 110 terahash miners. And those got all added in for the month of March here. I am segregating it out a little bit here for their self-mining and for the hosting part of it, just to see how close I can get to their actual numbers when they report. Well, Q1's going to be a little bit messy because they got 2 things happening here, right? They acquired Stronghold in March, and prior to that, they were self-operating. So we'll see how close I can get to the actual revenue side of things when they report. But going forward, at least for Q2, we should be able to narrow this down even more, but we'll see. But right now, I'm generating approximately 23.821 million. And they were operating for about 25 days here based on what I could figure out what the Bitcoin was for the month, right? The average price, the network hash rate where it was at the beginning, at the end of the month, average of that. And that's kind of how we came up with all these numbers here. So about 6 days of downtime. Not sure why that happened there. Definitely like to see them be much higher to like 28, 29 days, especially with March having 31 days. Right? No, did March have 20 or did it have 28 days? Oh, gosh. February was a shorter month. March had the 31 days. I am terrible with when it comes to calendar and dates. Let's see here. April. Let's go back to March. March had 31 days, yeah. All right. So that works out there. going up here based on the revenue that they generated for March times 12 months. I'm between 387 and 581, right with the P of 15. Analysts, I'm at 450. I'm a little bit higher than the analysts here. And then if we use the numbers for the last 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in, it's a little bit more in line with the analysts here, 280 to 419. They're at 79, whatever they're at, 80 some cents right now. Definitely undervalued in my opinion, just like all the other miners are right now. The miners definitely got their rear ends kicked hard in the last 3 months. So we do need them to start getting themselves up off the ground, and especially the markets to go up much higher than where it is right now. But overall, I like what I'm seeing here right now. I was, as you guys know, quite bullish on Bitfarms for a long time last year when I liked the growth that they had there, but that changed as time progressed, and we had different estimates coming in for them as far as growth is concerned, targets, things like that. When those were getting changed, I, as you guys know, sold out about 2/3 of my position there. I still own about 8,000 shares in them. So I'm rooting for them to do well, but definitely cut my position way down and put it into like Cleanspark and IREN as well because of that. All right, so that is it. You guys let me know what you guys think of Bitfarms here. Let's get into the short data on these guys here. Like I said, it is updated as of the middle of March. Here's the latest data that I have for all the stuff here, okay? So here's the current number of shares shorted for these guys. Marathon has 92.91 million shares shorted. It is the most shorted share base wise, not percentage wise. Cleanspark has 80.63 million. Riot 79, right? And you can see how everybody else stacks up down the list here. Average percentage of average floated shorted here. So that's what's really important here. We can see Cleanspark at that point about 2 weeks ago was about 30% shorted here. When you get into like 20, high 20s, even like in the 30s, I mean, you're looking for a possible short squeeze to happen on some of these guys here. And that's something that we might see happening here in this second quarter that we're in, depending where Bitcoin goes, where the markets go, depending what Trump's tomorrow Liberation Day looks like. All of that stuff will play into it going forward. So if we do have a little bit more muted, I guess, tariff talks and things are not as bad as people are maybe expecting things to be, things might actually play out pretty well. And some of these guys that are heavily shorted here might have a short squeeze on their hands. So fingers crossed. I'm hoping that's the case to kind of kick the shorts in the rear a little bit on it. But Cleanspark's the most shorted right now. Marathon, then Riot, BitDeer even, and then Bitfarms, Core, Hut 8, Cypher, and Hive is actually the least shorted here right now as it is. All right, and then here's the number of shares shorted changed from last time. So from about 2 weeks ago when we did this last time, Marathon had the most increase in shares, 8 million, followed by BitDeer, 1.8, Cleanspark almost 1 million there, along with Cypher, Hut 8 just 750,000, Hive 650,000 along with Riot, and then IREN had a decrease, Bitfarms had a decrease, and Core had a decrease. So we are seeing some changes there at least, but still definitely some are getting more shares shorted on them. And then here's the percent change in shares shorted from last review. BitDeer had a change of 10% increase basically. Marathon 9.4, Hut 7%, Hive 6%, Cypher 3%, Cleanspark only 1%, Riot 0.82, Bitfarms was down 4%, IREN was down 8%, and Core was down 9% on it. And then going down here, price change percentage from 12 weeks ago. Cypher is looks like the worst performer here from 12 weeks ago at least. Hive second, along with BitDeer, Hut, Bitfarms, Core. IREN's down 44%, Riot's down 38%, and the two kind of best performers here over the last 12 weeks as far as not going down as much as some of the other miners, it have been Marathon and Cleanspark. Historically at least, Marathon has been a pure play Bitcoin miner along with Cleanspark here. So it seems like the players that were more into HPC AI game and talking about all that stuff and getting some customers there as well, like, well, we don't have TerraWolf on here anymore, but they definitely came all the way down as well. So all these guys that were in HPC AI got kind of kicked twice, I guess you could say, as hard as maybe some of the more pure play miners that haven't been as beaten down on it. Okay, and then here's how we look at how the historical data is on it, and I got to update this. I always forget to do this. I get in a hurry to get the stuff done, and then I forget to scroll this thing down one cell or one row. All right, so here's the latest look of it, going all the way back to May of last year, basically the end of May. And you can see how the shorts have been increasing here over time. On BitDeer, on Bitfarms, they actually peaked about a month ago, it looks like, month and a half, and it's been coming down here, which is kind of surprising. Cypher, same, it's been kind of flat here more or less on that one. Cleanspark, that one's still increasing here going forward. I don't know why people are shorting Cleanspark. They don't have everything dead anymore. They are not looking to dilute anytime. I wonder if it's the jet that threw some people off that they bought. They're not happy about that one. Here's Hive, right? A little, definitely an increase from where they were to start the year out. Last year, Hut 8 has been coming down actually, but kind of flat here recently. IREN kind of up and it's been coming down, which is kind of good to see there on IREN. Marathon, I mean, Marathon's been a roller coaster ride the whole time. It's up and down depending whichever way the wind blows, I guess you could say. Riot has been a continuation of an increase over time as well. All right, so that is all how it plays out right now. I don't have anything else for you guys. This data will be available to the Patreon members, obviously. Link for that is down in the description. And let's get into the Q&A. That's all I got for you guys here. But I'm definitely liking what I'm seeing here in April to start out with. We'll see how we end up at by the end of it all, right? Let's hope this doesn't become a rug pull on us later on. But right now, I'm happy. Hopefully you guys are happy too. Things are starting to kind of bounce back up, right? Short term, there's going to be pain in gains. In the long term, I think there's going to be a lot more gains. I do believe that we are still in a bull run in Bitcoin. This is just a healthy correction that we're in right now. I don't think that's going to change. Well, I'm not saying it's going to change. I think this is good for it overall. I think still in the next, I would say, I'm not sure if it's going to be second quarter. I'm guessing it's more likely going to be the third quarter into fourth quarter where we're going to see a lot of the gains if things play out like we have in historically at least. Right now, with this 30% correction that we've had here is completely normal with Bitcoin. We've seen this happen actually in the last bull run a couple times where we had a retracement, but it was much faster retracement than what we are seeing right now. Right now, we're seeing an extended retracement or correction over several months, where before it was just like a week or something or a couple of days, and we'd go up, we'd go down 30%, 34%, and then we would rock it back all the way up to a new all-time high. We're not seeing that this time. Why? I think it's because of the ETFs. There's just more institutions in this place. Everything is just, I think there's just more money into it and more institutions and everything else controlling it. So we are currently at their mercy. But I think things will turn out for us better later on in the year. All right, let's get into Q&A, see what you guys have to say on all this stuff here, and we'll get through it all. Okay, so as always, if you guys could preface the questions with a question mark or a Q, would greatly appreciate it. I'm going to work my way up to see if I miss any questions, and I'm going to work my way down. So be patient. I will get through all the questions here in time. I see Chris has been pretty active here in the comments already. Let's see, where are we at here? All right, question. I see. First question here. All right, we'll start here. What did Hut 8 do? Hut 8 basically, what would you call it? Split the self-mining off from their business into American BTC with Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. there. So they're doing a new, basically, joint venture there, more or less. They're going to let that grow on its own, and they're going to let it possibly go public in maybe a year or something like that. We'll see what happens with that. All right, talked about that. Cleanspark, you guys are talking about Cleanspark. Okay, more time has a question here. For IREN, 224 million shares, 67,000 all in, 50 exahash, and 810 Bitcoin per month. No added AI HPC revenue, and adjust for network difficulty at 120 Bitcoin and get $20. I would have to run the numbers on it, but they are adding revenue for HPCI. They talked about that. Their run rate is now 23 million or 24 million, which is a double from where they were just a couple months ago. So that is improving, but it's with smaller customers there, right? So it's based also on their own servers that they have bought and installed. It's nothing that they are getting from like a hyperscaler, at least not right now. 50 exahash should be by the end of this quarter, right? By the end of June here. So that'll be good. I don't know if they're going to be able to mine 810 Bitcoin, depending where the network hash rate is, right? So I'll have to figure that out. And then no added HP. Yeah, so I would just say, yes, they do have some customers for HPCI, but nothing major. Okay, but it is like 24 million run rate right now. So it's not too bad. So you're thinking, so if we are at 120 Bitcoin, 1,000, you get to $20. That would be actually pretty good. 120,000 Bitcoin. All right. Let's see. Tomorrow is Wednesday. It is Wednesday tomorrow. Yeah. Hump day. Okay. Trying to see if there's other questions. Kaz says American BTC is a pump and dump, just like everything that Trump's family touches. Hopefully that's not going to be the case with this one. Maybe they actually do right by it. Para says $40 price target for 2025 Cleanspark. That I would take that. I'm sure everybody else would take that as well. Okay, Par's got a question here. Hey, Seb, hope all is well. Have you talked about the pilot site at Bitfarms being dropped by the potential partner? Benjamin mentioned it during the quarterly meeting when... Oh, I did not. The pilot, I think, was just for their own internal use to learn basically how to do HPCI. But that's kind of the way I understood it to be. But I didn't know it was a partner that was partnering with them to do that pilot there. But maybe they dropped it because they were getting, James Bond there to help them out with the HPCI stuff where they didn't need to learn that stuff. Maybe that's the only thing I can think of. But maybe I'm off on that one. Para says, Bitfarms could not get a partner for a pilot site. That's why they hired consultants. Now it will be even harder to get potential partners back to the table. They showed their hand. Yeah, I don't know about that. Like I said, I think originally that was just a pilot site to learn on it. This is not something they've been in at or doing ever, right? So who else did that pilot program? TerraWolf did a pilot program as well, just to learn from it. So that's kind of where I'm seeing it right now. Yeah, wow. YHUT 8 went up 14%. It's basically because they're partnering with the Trump organization there, right? So, okay. B-side is wondering here, what the advantage is of holding Bitfarms instead of Cypher. Personally, I rotated from Cypher. They are not owned by Riot, and they have SoftBank HPCI potential contract. Yes, they do. Cypher's got plenty of megawatts in the pipeline. They are also going to be growing more so in the second half of the year and into 2026. Right now, maybe Cypher might be the better play to go. I've been in Bitfarms because of their growth. I thought they were going to get there much faster, but I've trimmed my position quite heavily here. So that's up to you. I think Cypher's also a really good company there. Okay, let's see. B-side has a question about Bitfarms. What's the biggest potential of going to Pennsylvania? I'm going to believe it. I'm going to see what they can get out of it, but it's not looking very good, even with James Bond in charge. Well, the potential there is, so it's kind of interesting there. The two Pennsylvania sites are from Stronghold. The other one is that they purchased there. I can't remember the name of it right now. But the two Stronghold sites, the nice thing about that is they have interconnects that they could possibly, if they get approval for this, is the power plants they have at those two locations, right? Those could be used to run the HPCI, Bitcoin mining, whatever you want. And then they can bring in extra electricity from outside the grid because it's interconnected there to then operate those if there's anything that happens with the power plants, right? So that way they have continuation of electricity going to those things without any downtime. What that helps them out is that they don't need backup generators. Backup generators are those diesel huge things that take up a lot of space, and they're very, very costly. So if you can do away with those things, potentially you're saving a lot, which then you can pass down the savings to the customers as well at that point. So I think that's the benefit there, and the potential for increasing the megawatts there as well. Let's see. SH says Bitfarms should. Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, they should receive about 30 million from Hive by the end of the month as well. So that'll get them up to about 63 million in cash. So that would be good. All right, we got the whole thing going on. Scammer Chris is here. Yeah, I'll just say this to the scammer if that's the case. Yeah, why? I don't know why you're doing this. Everybody has their purposes, but why try to be like somebody else? Why be original? Be yourself. Don't. That's just. I'll just say that. Okay. Trying to find another question here. God says, fake Chris, real Chris, both insane. I like the real Chris. He's a good guy. He's passionate. He stands by for what he believes in for the most part. He's changed from Riot to Cleanspark, which I'm in Cleanspark, so I love that. All right, besides the question here. I created this account in 2006, but I think Bitfarms is completely useless on their vision. Why in Pennsylvania when everyone goes to Texas? There's different mechanics at play here. ERCOT is in Texas. Then you got, I can't remember what the other one is called in Pennsylvania. But there's different things that you can do there. You can sell electricity back to the grid. You can do other things. You can hedge it. You can do other things. So there's some advantages also to being there. And plus, you're getting kind of saturated in Texas as it is. And then the other thing with being in Pennsylvania, maybe it is close to like West Virginia and where the data center hubs are kind of like. So it's not a bad location area-wise. It's just, can they actually build out on it, get it all done, and have a customer there? Sam Food's got a question here. Hi, Seb. I hope you are okay. Yeah, I'm great. I hope you are too. Can we expect 3x from Cleanspark, IREN, Riot, Mora? Considering this downturn momentum, at least 3x, also any time line Q3 or Q4. Yeah, if Bitcoin goes up to 150,000, 200,000, whatever it might be, that's the very least I would expect these guys to do at least a 2 to 3x, right? That's kind of the expectation there. And I would expect that to happen somewhere around Q3, Q4. Now, it might happen faster if things, in the economy run a little bit more smoother and we don't have all this uncertainty and FUD and doubt and everything else happening. That could happen. That could spur things to go forward. But I mean, you got the Trump kids going into Bitcoin mining, right? So they're big believers on that. I'm sure they're going to be whispering in daddy's ear, maybe say something about this, say something about that, because they're going to want Bitcoin to go up so they can, one, go fundraising for their venture through whether it's going to be private or public means, but they're going to need quite a bit of cash if their goal is to be like the largest Bitcoin miner. They have some competition there. Cleanspark, Marathon, even IREN being at 50 exahash, they are going to need a lot of cash to do that. So I think that's one thing that might help us out as well, having them in there. But it's just more of who you know, right? Sometimes they can push you up. So I think that'll push up all the boats as well. All right. Let's see. How are you guys celebrating Liberation Day? I was thinking of buying a Tesla and driving it into Ontario tomorrow. I wouldn't egg them on, I guess you could say, because you might be driving out without a Tesla, right? Stuff that's happening here, that's crazy. That's just ridiculous. People should not be, demolishing Teslas and vandalizing them. You want to protest. Go stand in front of, Tesla stores or whatever. Protest that way, but don't ruin somebody's car. That's like one of the lowest things you could do, I guess. All right. Par says, I got 60% cash, potentially a big buying day for me. Tomorrow? Nice. Chris is saying buy Cleanspark. All right. At what BTC price would IREN be at 13? So IREN's right now at 6. I mean, that's basically a double for it. I think Bitcoin would have to get to like 125, 135, maybe somewhere around there, maybe 150, give or take. Or they could just come up with a great news story that they got a hyperscaler for one of their sites and it's off to the races, right? We could be at 20 in 3 days. So it's just one of those things where sometimes you just got to be patient. 69 to 100,000. Well, you guys are definitely going up there. B-side here. Also, Seb, I was following you since the beginning and I am a big supporter. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a rough ride here, but it's been also fun. I've had a lot of fun with you guys. I enjoy it greatly. You guys are like my daily therapeutic session here. I get to spot out all this stuff about the miners, and then I remember it, I recall it, and it helps me remember it all. Plus, you guys ask some good questions too, which makes me think, and I love that. All right, Bitcoin will. Let's see here. Price target for Bitfarms. I'm saying, all things considered, if we do have a good year, we can maybe get to, $3, $4, $5, depending, maybe even higher. What does it didn't pop up? What does the giraffe in the background represent? It just represents from my kids. My kids got my oldest son, got it when he was born, and that thing has been with us now for 13 years. So I don't have the heart to get rid of it. It was in my oldest son, my youngest son's room, so it's kind of sentimental. So it's in the basement here. We got no use for it. So I'm like, okay, let's put it in the background there. At least give us something to look at other than my ugly mug. All right. See, Sebastian, do you think Bitfarms is going to reverse split soon? I don't think soon. I think they still have about 24 days before delisting. No, they got more than that. They get about 180 days before they have to be above the dollar, right? They can also extend that out for, I believe it's another 90 or 180 days or something like that after that. So I don't think that's going to be happening here anytime soon. But yeah, if Bitcoin doesn't go anywhere and the stock doesn't go anywhere, then yes, I would imagine probably within the next 8 months or something like that, they may be forced to do a reverse split in order to get the stock above a dollar to meet the requirements of NASDAQ. All right. Yellow Gamer says, LOL, we will start calling bear market an extended retracement. I mean, you can call it whatever you want, but historically, has not Bitcoin corrected 30, 35%, 40%? It's been longer this time. We saw it last year as well in the summer, right, when Bitcoin reached 73,000 before the halving event, and then it went on like a 3 month, 4 months retracement correction, basically down 34%, and then we had a nice run up. So that's just kind of the way I'm seeing it, at least right now. All right. Oh, SK, I'm sorry, I forgot to get this done. Let me write this down. So I will do this for you tomorrow. Can you show the correlation between M2 global money supply versus the miners? Do you want any type of offset on that? I'll try to get that worked out. So let me write this down. M2 supply correlation between miners. All right. I will get that done. Correlation between miners. That is on my to-do list for tomorrow. I do apologize. I said I was going to get this done today, but things got out of control here between miners. All right. That is on my to-do list. I'll get it done. Okay. All right. When are we doing live streams at your favorite steakhouse? I don't think they would allow live streams there. But a meetup kind of like that might be kind of cool to have a meetup someplace. All right. All right. It says, I'm ready to just turn off my computer for a few months. Sometimes that might be the best thing to do, right? Walk away, go live life, and then come back, and you're going to be either rich or you're going to be poor. All right. Mbessa, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. It said, I have a strong conviction BTC and the best miner a la Cleanspark, buying the dip to DCA and praying my senses are leading me not astray, I guess you want to say, not leading you astray. Yeah, that's awesome. So here, Seb, if you're expanding the channel, I have a high risk, high reward, but also have high conviction pick. I would like to suggest to you offline. Great, appreciate it. Yeah, send it to me either through Twitter or find my email. It's on the YouTube About Me page. You should be able to find my email there. Send it there. Definitely appreciate it. All right. What do you think about HUT 8 price prediction by end of 2025? And if BTC, what do I think it's going to be at? Oh, geez, that's going to be a tough one. Because with them moving away from Bitcoin mining, putting that off to another entity, basically, it's hard to see where things are going to go. They do have a hodl position there still. It's over 10,000, I believe. Still, we'll find out what that comes in at for March. But then it's just on they're generating revenue basically for managed services, hosting, and then electricity. So that's kind of tough to figure out where they could be. Yeah, I don't know. Probably high from where they are right now, though. Like everything else probably should be. All right. Question, I think you should rotate and forget about Bitfarms. They effed up over and over 21 exahash. They didn't deliver, and you know it. I don't think they will deliver Pennsylvania either. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right there, right? They definitely didn't deliver on 21 exahash when they said we're going to. That's why I rotated out basically 2/3 of the position that I had there. I'm leaving a little bit there. We'll see how they do here. I'm giving a little bit of time, but it's not a lot that I have in there. Benny says, Bitfarms will surprise you all. Just wait on it. We didn't expect CORZ to land a big deal. Remember at $1.15 Canadian, LOL, what a deal. Okay. There's always, yeah, I mean, you can always be surprised. Any prediction for Trump tariff tomorrow? I think it's already priced in. I'm hoping it's priced in, depending on what he says and how deep he goes with the tariffs and retaliations and things like that. So if it's just more of a scalpel instead of a hatchet type of a deal, that might make a difference there. But it's going to be interesting tomorrow to see what the heck's going on there. All right. Last question, any comment on CoreWeave valuation, almost 50% in a single day? Yeah, it's bouncing nicely here. So, I mean, there was no news really there. I know that, what did I hear? I heard Sam Altman from, OpenAI, saying that they need more servers. So that might be good for them. I think they're maybe looking to sign up with CoreWeave as well. CoreWeave signed a deal with Galaxy last week on Friday, if you recall that. So things are still moving forward for them, and it looks like they're still getting more customers potentially, but they got to diversify some more away from Microsoft and OpenAI. Para says, the draft represents up only, bow to the draft people, and the draft knows. Long neck, right? The parabolic rise in Bitcoin with the green nice candle there. I should paint the giraffe like green or something. And okay. B-side, last question. Do you believe in a longer cycle, or do you think it will be the same cycle, the same 4-year cycle, even if U.S. is going big on Bitcoin and Trump going 20% of the miners with Hut 8? Like I've said this before, and I've been saying this probably for the last, I would say probably 6, 7, 8 months or something like that, where I'm starting to think that this cycle might be an extended cycle. Reasons for that is more institutions, more adoption, everything else is happening here. We're seeing these cycles, these corrections be much longer, right? Going down 30% instead of going down 30% in 2 days sometimes when we've seen it last cycle. We're seeing it extend way out, and it's taking longer, basically. So I think based on that and the adoption, everything else, the Bitcoin reserves, companies putting on their balance sheets, everything else, the money's being more tied up, and there's less for it on the exchanges to drop way down, right? Everybody's starting to believe that Bitcoin could possibly get to 1 million at some certain point. We don't know exactly what that's going to be, whether it's going to be 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, whatever it's going to be. But people are believing that it's going to go up in value here, so they're starting to hodl it and accept it and put it on their balance sheet because they know it's going to be going up. So for that reason, I do think I'm leaning towards it like 65, 75% that we're going to have an extended cycle and not something that we've seen before. Where now with the extended cycle, we could only drop down again, like 30%, 20%, whatever it is, for over a number of months. And then continue the up path again, going up 50, 60, 70, 80%, whatever it is, have a little bit of pullback, and then continue on, right? But we won't know that until we're actually in that cycle. Nobody really knows. Aaron's got a question here. Seb, what are you buying at these low prices? Nothing right now. Uncle Sam, I got to pay Uncle Sam for what I made last year, and they got property taxes coming up here, so I've been hodling cash right now, unfortunately. But once that's done, I'm going to definitely start buying back in if things are still this low. SH says the pilot program was supposed to be 1 to 2 months, and a partner wanted to increase it to 10 to 50 megawatts and couldn't get the proper financing. Was that with them or was that with somebody else? Maybe I'm mistaken. I could be wrong on that, and you might be right. I'd have to look back into it, but I thought that was somebody else. For some reason, I want to say that was with TerraWolf, but I could be wrong. Don't forget Riot's standstill also expires in 2026. Yes. All right, B-side, you have a lot of last questions here, which I don't mind. What do you think about the 28% Hut and Trump? It's quite interesting. It is interesting, right? We'll see what happens with that. But I liked their answer there where they were debanked, right? And they kind of showed them the light into Bitcoin where you cannot be debanked from Bitcoin. Regular banks, right? They got debanked from, I think it was Capital One, Chase, which is just crazy. I can understand that completely. When back in 2017, when me and a friend of mine were trying to set up the Bitcoin mining farm, I went to several banks, told them it was Bitcoin mining, like, we don't want any part of that. It took us, I think, the fourth bank that we actually talked to, and we actually had to explain to them what we're doing with Bitcoin and how we're generating the Bitcoin. Then they were like, okay. But it was the same case story with insurance, trying to get insurance on the building and the miners themselves, the ASICs and everything else that was going to be inside the unit there. That was also a major hurdle to get insurance on. We told them what we're doing, that we're processing transactions on the Bitcoin network. They're like, well, where are you storing the data? Where are you storing the customer's information, credit cards? We're like, we're not doing anything of that. So it's like you always had to school these people or educate them on how things work in order to be able to get something actually done. So I completely understand where they're coming from there. And then the light that actually went off in their heads going, okay, Bitcoin, this is a change. This is a game changer going forward for everybody. They want to get into it. And I think it's great. And hopefully that also then goes back to Big Dad Trump there. And, they're going to obviously have their conversations and things like that. And maybe they might do something that's going to be beneficial to the miners that are doing this stuff in the United States. Hopefully they don't single out just their Bitcoin company for mining, but they do it across the board for everybody. Whether it's something on taxes, whether it's on electricity, who knows, right? Getting credits or something like that. So all things should be good there. Here's got a question. Bitcoin has never dropped below previous cycles high. So if that repeats, we can't drop that much more. Previous cycle high was 69,000. Yeah, so we really shouldn't be dropping below 69,000, right? Seb, what do you think about making our giraffe our group mascot? Oh yeah, we could do that. I think that's a great idea. It's been with me for a long time. Heck yeah. What do you think of Mike Alfred? I think Mike Alfred is very well educated and he knows what he's doing. He's been in the space for a long time. His comments on X, right? You got to take him sometimes with a little bit of grain of salt. He likes to have a little fun on there. But overall, when you listen to him and you speak to him on spaces, the guy does have a lot of knowledge and he's obviously been in the space and he's got a lot of connections as well. So somebody that you want to just listen to, right? But when it comes to some of the comments and things like that on X, take it with a grain of salt. He's just having fun sometimes there, so, and that's not a big deal. All right. How old are you when you first time invested in Bitcoin? 2017. I heard about it in 2013. Thought it was just dumb internet money. Probably should have bought in at that point. But 2017 is when I first time invested into it. Okay, Defcon says, my opinion, Trump is only chasing easy money like with the meme coins. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that. I thought that was poorly played there. Eric is thinking, look at all these executives making boatloads of money. I want that too. Yeah, but right now, they got to get funding and everything else. They're not a public company yet. It's not that easy to get that going. He's very greedy. I mean, everybody's greedy to a certain extent, right? Everybody wants to make more money and everything else. But yeah, you got to definitely have a good head on your shoulders and do the right things. Par says it's bullish for the deregulation in the sector. I don't know if it's bullish or Hut 8. I think it's overall. Right, getting people involved in there is definitely a good thing. All right, miners are up today and tomorrow back to new lows. Oh, I hope that's not the case. We might be down a little bit tomorrow because of the anticipation of our Liberation Day celebration. Par says I didn't like Hut before either, so there's that. Okay. Let's see, how old are you? I'm in my 40s. I'm in my 40s also in my, I would say, late 40s. I got a couple more years to go before I'm 50. Let's see. Spin Second Serve says I would like quantum computer stocks. There is really only 3 qubits right now. Qubit, these stocks have a lot of buzz and volume. Take a look. You might like it. Okay, that's one of the other things we want to take a look at is quantum, right? So things I want to look at are right now the AI space, quantum, the microreactors for electricity, and electricity in general, and then we could possibly even get to like EVs and things like that. Rockets, right? I'd love to get into like SpaceX or something like that, but and there's quite a few actually startups that are doing similar things that SpaceX is doing also. It's kind of interesting there. I think that's also the future, right? Space exploration, going to other planets, mining asteroids. I mean, and then also taking down possibly old satellites that are, you know, kind of like getting paid to pick up the waste in space, basically. So there's many, many things that can be done there. Let's see. Besides, what's to take you out, I think. Oh, Para says, besides what's to take me out. Yeah. Happily married. Do you just buy mining stocks or you buy options? I'm not a fan of options because of the time. Yeah, I don't do options either. Strictly stocks. I can sleep much easier on that knowing that I'm not going to get, you know, leveraged on it or called on it. All right, Spin Second Serve. There's also IonQ and RQQ. Those are both quantum, I believe. No, I'm not mistaken. All right, but that's it. So we'll call it a day here. We've been going on not that bad, almost an hour here. We'll see what happens tomorrow with Trump's Liberation Day party, celebration, whatever he wants to call it. Everybody else is going to be calling it probably something else. We've already heard stories from other countries. I think it was Japan, Korea, and China working together. Figure that out. If Trump puts tariffs on them, that they're going to have a united front against us, the Americans, and Trump on that. Europe, the same thing. So we shall see. We are in a whole new trade war, I guess you could say, that we probably never had before. Okay, let's see. And then Kishinjig has a question. Is coin a good proxy for BTC and Ethereum? I have to look into it. I haven't really gotten into that one too much. I actually bought coin when it went public. Big mistake there because it just fell afterwards. So I don't really try to buy IPOs anymore. Learn my lesson from that. Usually when you buy into it, you're like the exit liquidity. I had to learn that the hard way. But yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll get some more miners to report as well as far as their operations updates for March. And then we'll look at whatever else we got. We'll cover it all. Okay. So greatly appreciate you guys coming in here as always. Thank you so much. Love you all. Have a great night. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Should be fun. I'll see you guys tomorrow.